Hello, welcome to the Citrus Garden. If you're new here, my name is Christina. If you're not new here, hi, welcome back. It's great to see you. This is a general collective reading. There are no signs attached to it, so only take it if it resonates for you within the first couple of minutes. Otherwise, there are plenty of other videos that might resonate with you that you can go watch. So, I haven't pulled the cards yet. We're going to do that together. I was sort of seeing this energy of like the Ace of Wands, but represented more so as like an ember, right? Like, or like a spark. That the Ace of Wands needs more materials and also more air in which to grow into a flame, right? So that's sort of how it's coming through. Without that, it just sort of dies out, is how it's coming through. And then the Two of Wands being depicted as sort of like the flame. Like if you think of like a match, for example, now lighting a candle where the flame gets transferred to another is kind of how it's coming through. So those are two images that I was seeing before this reading started. I don't know if that's going to resonate for you or how that relates to the reading, but we're just going to go with it. Gratitude. The last quarter moon. Perhaps you're expressing gratitude to someone or just in general. Interesting. I'm really like looking at this figure in the background actually. She's catching my eye today. There might be sort of like a hidden influence. I'm not saying that as a negative thing or that's like something that you need to look out for, but it's kind of like somebody who's like in the background of something or an energy that's in the background that perhaps has yet to make themselves known. And the long night moon, darkness. That's interesting. And then you have the numbers here, 2, 3, 4, 23, and 40. But I'm seeing that more as 2, 3, 4. So it is a progression, which is interesting. Perhaps you're, there's an energy that perhaps is, that perhaps you're showing gratitude for because maybe there's something about, the darkness that's being illuminated. And the realization. Yeah. So maybe there's some sort of an aspect of darkness, which not a negative thing. It's coming through as being just like something that was unknown or unclear or misunderstanding about, perhaps, that is becoming more clear. There's a realization here, especially with the sort of lock, the keyhole. It's like unlocking something. Maybe you're having some sort of realization about something that was unclear or like somebody's helping you to unlock some sort of mystery. At the bottom of the deck, you have acceptance and perhaps helping to, so 3 and 4 are coming in very strongly as numbers. Perhaps helping you to accept something that was feeling like mysterious or unknown is how it's coming through. This acceptance card at the bottom of the deck to me talks about, it talks about accepting other people's differences is how it's coming through. Or accepting perhaps aspects of self that have been unseen. Perhaps there's also a new path opening up now that this energy is accepted, or the understanding is accepted. Discernment. So discernment to me, this card talks about like being able to identify sources of energy and like where the energy is originating from, and whether or not there's any sort of like energy leak is kind of how it's coming through, because one of these vases has like a leak in it, right? Like, so it's kind of like it's also talking to me about perspective and what is within your field of vision, because it could be there's something, so it could be something like a blind spot as well, right? Like something that was perhaps in your blind spot, but that somebody is helping to like point out to you, that's bringing more acceptance or understanding to a situation maybe, or just something that wasn't seen is how it's coming through. Greatness. Greatness. And abundance at the bottom of the deck. Maybe helping to accept an aspect of your greatness and whatever that is. Hold on. I want to see what the book says about that one. The peacock is an interesting energy because it's coming through as being sort of like perhaps being accepted for something that... So interesting, because I was thinking just before this of like somebody who almost like rejects something of their greatness, of like something that perhaps is unique about them, or they have a lot of it, is how it's coming through with the greatness. Like they have a lot of whatever this resource is, but it was rejected by them, is how it's coming through. So maybe there's kind of like an energy here of like, especially if there's this is coming through as being like when you're finally seen by somebody who doesn't necessarily want to like acknowledges that you have some sort of gift or greatness or whatever, but doesn't necessarily want to have that for themselves, right? It's kind of like they don't want to control or possess the gift, is kind of how it's coming through. They're simply acknowledging it. That's sort of how that's feeling to me. Anyways, I'm gonna read the description for that one. To be great, we must recognize that we already are. We must look ourselves in the eye and understand that our true greatness, our unfathomable power, lies within our potential, dormant and waiting to awaken. Greatness is not something that's achieved, it's something that you accept and actualize. This card is here to remind you that you are divine greatness. With this awareness, you can move away from feelings of insecurity, jealousy, and inner conflict. Instead, you will now move forward from a space of understanding, love, and self-acceptance. Walk with your greatness. It is not the past, nor in the future, but with you now. Yeah, I feel like that's just a summary of like exactly what I was just saying. Like accepting perhaps a part of yourself that had gone unseen for a long time, or was hidden or rejected by yourself. Maybe there's an aspect of yourself that was not seen by, or perhaps even like feared by other people, or judged by other people. Perhaps it's that, like, it's something about like other people either judged this part of you like negatively, or in the overly positive sense might be sort of like they saw the greatness and then tried to use it for themselves, right? Which is kind of coming through as an energy of like taking advantage, or it's coming through with another word. Like wanted to possess it is how it's coming through. Like wanted to control it in some way. Because and so especially if it's something like, so it is coming through with an energy of as an example, right? So it doesn't have to be this for you, but this is just how I'm going to explain it. Like somebody who perhaps has a lot of like attractive energy, or who's very beautiful in whatever way, or like is very attractive, or like, because it's coming through with like a child actor, for example, like children who are very beautiful, and perhaps like that beauty is like sort of like used by the people who are in control of them in order for like monetary gain. Like that, it's that kind of energy. That's how it's coming through today. And so children who grow up in that environment can end up sort of having this like really negative, almost like self-image of their own beauty. That's an example. I don't know. It could be anything for you. So just take that how it resonates. It's just coming through like that because of the peacock. And could actually end up like self-rejecting that aspect. Yeah, you have stranded. So this is coming through as being like an aspect of self that has been rejected by yourself, like by oneself. And it's almost like in rejecting that aspect of self, it's almost like caused the entire ship to be stranded. Like there's no movement. Perhaps there's an energy here of like again, it's something in the blind spot, or something that like somebody was not seeing that stranded aspect of self, like the part that was perhaps an aspect of self that was perhaps rejected, or lost, or unseen or misunderstood or shamed, judged, feared. Used. And then home in the sky, which is really interesting because it's kind of like maybe this is somebody else, because I'm seeing this as being like this boat that's supposed to be in the sky. If you've watched this show, or the movie Stardust, it's a Neil Gaiman novel. But the movie, there's a character, Shakespeare, he's the captain of the ship. Anyways, I don't know why that's coming through. Maybe that story has like has a download for you or something like that. Home in the sky. I feel like that actually might be sort of like, because it's kind of like, I feel like whatever this aspect is, so if this is you, it's kind of like you are supposed to be up in the sky in some way, right? It's kind of how it's coming through. But there was an aspect of you down here holding the anchor that was keeping you sort of landlocked, is how it's coming through. That maybe is needing to be sort of brought on board, right? Like, so I'm talking about this being an aspect of yourself that needs to be integrated or brought on board, so to speak, so that you can make your home in the sky. Miss Sunshine. All of these are sort of like, all of these are airborne, right? They're all sort of like up in the sky in some way. This Miss Sunshine card does talk to me about like a particular gift that a person has that perhaps is very unique to them. Which is so interesting as well, because it's a Miss Sunshine card, but there's a moon here in the temple. So it is talking to me about like integrating some aspect of darkness. By integrating some aspect of darkness, it allows you to shine fully. That you can't really have light without dark. They are inseparable. So maybe there was some aspect of self that was in the dark, or that was perhaps in shadow in some way. And it could be something about like that part of self was rejected, or for whatever reason, right? There could be many reasons why we can become sort of split in our identity, is how it's coming through. So this is feeling like an energy of like self-acceptance, all aspects, and an energy of wholeness, of like accepting everything about yourself. Change of seasons, which is interesting. So I feel like there's some sort of like significant change that's happening now. It's almost like a inner transformation that leads to an outer transformation kind of energy. Eva at the bottom of the deck. That card is so interesting. So it could be some aspect of self that you find very uncomfortable about yourself. Maybe. I'm seeing the number 5 in that card as well. It could have to do with feminine energy as well. Especially if there's like a discomfort about one's own femininity, whether you are your gender presenting female or not. I feel like it's coming through as sort of energy wise, right? Or perhaps just like your relationship to other women or feminine energies may also be important here, or showing you something about yourself maybe, or something like that. The first card out is the Ace of Pentacles. So a new beginning for sure. I feel like this is also kind of coming through as being like something emerging from, like, it's kind of like the roots were planted a long time ago, but it's like there's some sort of sign of something emerging, right? It's interesting because I started off with the Ace of Wands, but the Ace of Pentacles is coming out. So I feel like maybe there's some sort of shift happening in the physical environment that may be significant. Kind of a strange little plant. I'm kind of getting like Groot, the from the Marvel movies, Guardians of the Galaxy, the tree plant alien Groot. It's like he only ever says the same thing, right? He only ever says, I am Groot. That's the only thing he can say. But somehow he's always understood. Like, what he is saying is understood. So maybe there's something about, like, you were trying to express who you are, but, like, it was constantly misunderstood by people. And now it's like perhaps there's somebody who can speak your language or understand what it is that you have been trying to express this entire time. Because it's kind of like the only thing he can say is who he is. I've also been getting sort of this download of like, so first of all, like, there's this card in another deck that I have, which talks about the first house and arrival, like your rising sign or the ascendant is sort of like how others perceive you, right? How others interact with you and that kind of thing. And so there's a line in that card that says like, make sure you're taking responsibility for how others perceive you, or like what you're projecting out, like what energy you're projecting out. But at the same time, for me personally, how I experience that energy is that you also can't control how other people see you, because that is also dependent on their energy and like what they are projecting out. So it's like, yes, you can take control, or you can take responsibility for how people perceive you, right? By being authentic and all of that, being who you are. But at the same time, other people could also project onto you their own energy and all of that. So you can't always control. You can't control how people see you. There's always a balance, right? So it's kind of coming through like that. All of that from one card. Five of Swords. That's interesting. This is kind of coming through as like a blind spot as well. Like, it's coming through as like something from the past that is still haunting you, is kind of how that's going through. Still haunting you. But I feel like there's somebody here who's like really not allowing that energy into their space, which I feel like is really positive. It feels like something that has been sort of like somebody found their power from whatever this experience was. Somebody found their power from whatever that is. Could also be there was some sort of gift or that's interesting. Because there's something in her hand. I've actually never noticed that before. Because I'm always so distracted by this energy, right? So it's kind of like perhaps it is actually something that causes fear, whatever this sort of shadowy energy is. I don't feel that this is the rejected aspect of self, but I feel like if it was like another person or something like that, or a relationship or something, this feels kind of like a relationship from the past that almost like tried to take something of your strength or your power, is how it's coming through, right? That aspect, but in the wreckage is how it's coming through. In the wreckage, there was I feel like a hidden gift of yours that was revealed, is how it's coming through. But perhaps you didn't know what that was until now, is how it's coming through. Like, it was something that, like, after the ending of whatever that was, it's like you needed space from it, perhaps. And perhaps there was, like, roots growing. Because I'm seeing this as being sort of like, this is what was growing under the roots. Perhaps some sort of aspect of self that you did not know was there, or that you didn't know was part of you, or something that you were capable of, is how it's coming through. But now with the Ace of Pentacles, it's like it's showing up in a very physical way. This aspect of self, or this gift of yours that you have, or some element of your power or strength that actually came from whatever this difficult ending was, the Five of Swords. Seven of Wands. That's so interesting. Because I actually want to say that that's, I feel like that's you. Seven of Cups in the World. The strong man. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, because it's coming out underneath the Miss Sunshine. So these bars here and the tethers are coming through as being like a parallel. So maybe some aspect of your strength or your gifts is perhaps being revealed to you as well. Like perhaps you don't know this about yourself, or it's like you're discovering it, right? It's kind of like experimenting with this new ability that you have is kind of how it's coming through. Whatever that is for you, I don't know. I just use those words because I watch a lot of superhero movies, so that's how it's coming through. Seven of Cups. I feel like it's actually whatever this new understanding or realization is, it's like perhaps playing around with it or allowing it to reveal new options or avenues or paths, perhaps new inspiration as well, because this Seven of Cups talks to me about inspiration, right? This is, or like options, or like because I'm seeing it as being like you've lit a match, right? And there are many different candles that you can now start lighting is how it's going through. And this World card is really interesting as well, because this one talks to me about like like significant patterns or like it could have something to do with astrological transits as well. Maybe that might have a significant resonance for you, like where certain events just have to happen in how we perceive the progression of time. Is kind of how it's coming through. Like a certain amount of time has to pass is what's coming through, or that there are just like certain, perhaps there were just certain timing events that needed to take place before this energy could start growing, right? Like that's how it's feeling to me. Like it with the world, like the seasons, obviously, yes, the seasons, that like you can't force the season to change. It just changes when it's time. It's that kind of energy. So it could be something like that, where perhaps there was some aspect of like something that was blocked or hidden or just put aside, or whatever it is, whatever the stranded energy is, right? I'm going to say it's an aspect of self that was lost or stranded, and it just needed a certain amount of time to pass, like the seasons changing. So perhaps you're leaving a particular season in your life that perhaps has lasted a long time, or maybe not. I don't know. It could be with the World card. There's sort of like a small world and a big world. So it could be like small. It could have been a small cycle. It could have been a really long one. I don't know. That'll depend on you. You could have had sort of like many small cycles within a larger cycle, if that makes sense. like it's kind of like the different planets moving. I don't know why this is coming through like this. Like Mercury, for example, very quick cycles, right? So a lot of movement very quickly. And then there's also the slower moving planets like Saturn and Jupiter, Neptune, Pluto, that kind of thing. So many different cycles like Mercury can fit within a larger cycle like Saturn or Pluto. So maybe those planets are also significant to you in some way. So it's kind of like you needed to do multiple rounds of a smaller cycle in order to complete the bigger cycle. But now it feels like this is almost like this is where a couple of smaller cycles are coming together with a really big cycle, if that makes sense. So it could be that you're experiencing a lot of different sort of endings and new beginnings all at the same time, which could be sort of like maybe that's what was needed. It's like you needed a lot of momentum or a lot of coinciding events to take place at once, is how that's feeling to me. Eight of Swords. This is the aspect of self that was stranded. I actually feel like this is actually reminding me of it actually feels like a lot of relief, actually, this Eight of Swords, because normally Eight of Swords talks about like being blinded by our own illusions, that kind of thing. And it's kind of like once that illusion is cleared, it's coming through as relief today. It's not necessarily sort of like, because sometimes the Eight of Swords can be a very heavy energy of like not understanding why something's happening, or like not being able to see a way out of a situation, feeling stuck, that kind of thing. But now it's like, okay, now that I understand what I was not seeing, it's that kind of energy. At least now there's either like, well, sitting in the realization is kind of how it's coming through. Sitting in some sort of realization. Perhaps the movement's not happening yet, but at least the wings are out, right? That's sort of how it's coming through. It's also kind of feeling like the energy of like, perhaps like somebody who, it's like, you know, those stories where like people who have like a lot of symptoms, a lot of like medical symptoms, for example, but no actual diagnosis. It's like no doctor can tell them what's wrong with them, right? And it's kind of like once that answer, like the diagnosis, having the diagnosis is such a relief to people, because like it's like, okay, now we have a starting point. Like that's how it's coming through. I feel like though it's more so we're talking more from like a spiritual sense, or because there's a lot of swords in this so far, perhaps just like a mental pattern, or a self-image, or a dissonance between how someone sees you and how you see yourself, perhaps. Six of Cups. Oh, there's the balloons again. So this one sometimes talks to me about like taking, well, it is a memory lane kind of energy, like looking back at a past memory, perhaps with a new perspective, or like this could also be sort of like taking a moment to nurture that aspect of self that has gone unseen. Perhaps even celebrating it in some way. Or with the home in the sky, right? Because this is sort of like the balloons. Like welcoming that aspect of self, like celebrating it, integrating it perhaps. Giving that part of yourself home. Giving that part of yourself a home is kind of how it's coming through. Like acceptance. The Nine of Pentacles. This one talks to me about just like you're just living your best life. That's what this card talks about. Like it just accepting happiness and peace and abundance and joy and sunshine, like accepting all of that. Perhaps there was something about like somebody like feeling like they did not deserve that. Again, but that's coming from the stranded self, right? Like the aspect of self that did not feel like it belonged within the wholeness of who you are, perhaps. Like it could be something like that. There was an aspect of self that felt it didn't belong to you, maybe. But it's coming through with greatness. It's like a really great aspect of who you are that should be celebrated, is how it's feeling. Page of Cups. This card has been coming up so much. It's talking to me about like just finding peace, like finding moments of peace or finding things that bring you joy that are very uplifting, like very sweet and tender moments with yourself, even like being kind to yourself. That could also be an aspect of it. Or kind to whatever part of yourself it was that was like rejected. It's coming through as well with like Finding Nemo as well. This could be inner child aspects, so just keep that in mind. It doesn't have to be though for you. But it is like this is coming through as like Finding Nemo. The clownfish. Clownfish and the anemone. That almost sounds like a kid trying to say enemy. An anemone. Or, well, those have a symbiotic relationship, right? Those are two organisms that mutually benefit from one another. So I feel like maybe there's something about that. Like, so this could be you with another person, but it feels very self focused today, where it's like, I feel like maybe this is just an aspect of yourself that has not had a lot of attention, perhaps, from you. Like, because the Nine of Pentacles to me talks about, like, somebody who knows how to use all of the gifts that they have, right? That's sort of how it comes through. Like, so they come off as being really productive or, like, really abundant or really authentic and happy because they have all of their gifts sort of, like, they're aware of all of them. They know how to make the most of it and that kind of thing. But this one with the Page of Cups, it feels like this is an aspect of self that has not been nurtured yet. Like, it hasn't been nurtured. It hasn't had time to perhaps, like, grow or be free in whatever way. It could be talking about, like, exploring that aspect more or giving it more freedom to express. Because it is kind of coming through with the Page of Cups. So it could have to do with innocence in some way, or like a pure expression of something that I feel like can be a bit uncomfortable at first, because it's kind of like especially if you're sort of like with the Nine of Cups, like, this is somebody who just knows what they're good at, right? They're good at a lot of things, or at least just, like, feels confident in what they know already. This one feels a lot more uncertain, like shaky, or not as confident in this aspect, whatever that is. And it's like giving it, like, time and space to grow. And now I'm getting sort of that music video Adore You by Harry Styles. That's come out in a reading before. I really highly recommend watching, like, the full length version of that music video, not just the music video, but it's like a short film, Adore You, by Harry Styles, which does talk about, like, sort of like he has this gift that is rejected by everybody in his town, and befriends this fish, and sort of like seeing how the gift or the fish grows. So it's kind of talking about self-acceptance, but also I feel like this gift is going to grow really, really quickly. I'm not going to use the word gift. It feels like an aspect of self, honestly, that perhaps was lost or stranded. So it does feel like you're going to need more space for it eventually. It's going to expand. Two of Pentacles. This one's also been coming up a lot. Nine of Swords. Ten of Cups. I love that card. Okay, so. Okay, Queen of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck. Okay, so how I'm seeing this, I feel like whatever this aspect of self is for you, it's going to grow really quickly, is how it's feeling to me. Like, it's gonna outgrow whatever container it is currently in. Metaphorically, that's how it's coming through. with the Two of Pentacles, because I'm seeing this as being like you're going to need to put this somewhere else, like in a bigger container, so to speak. Because this like mechanism at the top is looking to me like the World card. It's bringing in a similar energy of like this small cycles and big cycles. The world is going to expand for you. The world is going to expand for you. Not that you were, well, maybe you are expanding some sort of horizons, but it feels like it's going to open up the world. Nine of Swords. This card talks about anxiety about being seen. Specifically, that's what this card talks about to me. So there may be anxiety or fear or just discomfort. It doesn't have to be like full-blown anxiety, but it could just be discomfort about this aspect of self being seen by other people. I'm just going to leave it like that. But ending here with the 10 of Cups, right? These are all the fish that sort of come out of this small thing. So it's kind of coming through as being like, whatever this aspect is that I'm talking about for you, this Page of Cups, aspect of self, it's going to expand in a way where it's like, it's going to create a lot more. It's going to expand in whatever way feels right to you is kind of how it's coming through. Could have a monetary consequence here with the Queen of Pentacles, but doesn't have to be, right? There's so many other ways, like it doesn't always have to be about like money. There are many other physical things that can come from this, is how it's feeling to me. Anyways, so it's going to create some sort of physical manifestation that multiplies, is how that's feeling to me. And I feel like it's also going to change you as well. Page of Cups into this 10 of Cups, like in a way that's perhaps very strange or uncomfortable again, but it's like you're not going to recognize yourself after whatever it is. Like it's like a new season for you. It's a new season for you. Okay. I'm going to leave it there. If this reading resonated, please like, subscribe, leave a comment. I would love to hear from you. Thank you so much for sharing your energy with me, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.